Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Rona Dayz, episode 63 of the show, where I recap my week since lockdown began over a year ago. Of course, as people know from last week, I'm fully vaccinated. I am about a week, I guess, a little over a week. By the time this episode comes out, I will have my 2 weeks under my belt. Still, I mean, the only thing I'm really looking forward to, aside from, maybe going on dates or whatever, but going to see movie theaters is kind of weird because I haven't thought about, it hasn't had the possibility to go to watch a movie in a movie theater for over a year. So because it hasn't even been an option, I haven't thought about it. And now that there are theaters open, I can get Regal Unlimited again, sign up for that, and I could just go. My van isn't working. I just need to get a new battery because I haven't driven it in almost a year. But other than that, I could easily be going to see movies, but I'm so out of the routine of doing it that I haven't done it yet. So I've just gotten so used to hanging out at home. But maybe that's why I've been feeling kind of depressed this week. Maybe it's just this time of year. Maybe it's reflecting on what I was feeling last year is kind of maybe triggering some depression again. But the past week or so, actually, it feels more like maybe a month. I felt like on it. I've definitely felt like just more negative feelings, whether it's anger, stressed out, on edge, aggravated, and then also depressed, sad, all of those kind of negative feelings, whether they be kind of, aggro or more self defeating. It's definitely been more so. And I don't know if that's the heat. Like I said, I don't know if that's, the fact that this time last year I was going through some heavy shit. But either way, it's not as bad as last year, that's for sure, knock on wood. But it's definitely just limited my workflow. Like I've been way underperforming as far as things I want to get done. It's just hard to find inspiration, motivation, just tired, very tired, just not sleeping well, but also tired all the time. It's just nothing's going. I'm still eating pretty good, but everything else is like off, and it's been kind of a tough week. Specifically this week, I really wanted to get a bunch of stuff done, and I started the week doing good. I got a lot of boring just to-do list stuff done, but the kind of quote-unquote important things that I wanted to get done, I did not get done. But I got the necessaries done. I got the bare minimums done, which is good. But I barely did that even. It's just real. Like the feeling. Part of the feeling is also just me. That I saw some posts from other artists. There's been a few artists that I've seen that have kind of blown up over this past year, and they're artists that are fairly new. To they just started like, oh, I'll just start being an artist now, and then they just kind of blow up. And for somebody like me, granted, I haven't. I've been making and selling art for easily a decade. I think probably around a decade is when I started doing some. Before that, I did some art shows here and there, but more regularly. At least a decade, and especially my faces. I've been doing, I've over 1,500 faces, ink portraits. If you go to inspireddisorder.com, you can buy them. I have over 1,500 available. So even developing that, I started like 5 years ago. And very little traffic, very little, no rubber, no road, and they have not met. It doesn't feel like I feel like I'm prepared for when the rubber meets the road. I have the potential for success is there. But for whatever reason, I get no traction online. Nobody is sharing or liking my posts, or maybe even not even seeing posts. I don't know. But it's tough. Everything's slowly growing, but it feels like I'm on a treadmill. I've been on a treadmill for a decade, and then like people around me have just started recently, and they're just flying by, and it's definitely depressing. It's tough. Like, the only way for me to guarantee failure is for me to quit, which is something that I would rather die than do. But it is tough. It's exhausting when you've been running in this marathon for so long, and it's just people that started only a few years ago are like miles ahead. It's very discouraging. Now, what I know through experience is that they may be taking off right now, but because they don't have the experience, they'll probably run out of steam and not be able to maintain. Whereas I can do what I'm doing for the rest of my life without any problem. But the thing is, I'm constantly getting better. So, which I'm fine with. I mean, by the time the world sees my work, which eventually will happen, it's everywhere. I post everything everywhere. So when audiences, when eyes start to see this podcast or eyes start to see my artwork, I'm prepared. I'm more than prepared. But, and I will be able to ride that wave for the rest of my life. But it's just, I did the thing that you're not supposed to do. I compared my success to other people's. I defined my success by what other people's success is, and it's my own problem. I understand. I could see my brain doing those things, and I would probably be far more depressed if this were a decade ago, when I would do similar things, and I would get addicted to that feeling of just digging a ditch for myself, digging my own grave. And it's just like I would pile it on, and I would just think of more things that would get me depressed, and I would just go in head. I would lean into the depression so much that it would really not be healthy. Versus now, it's like I'm aware of what my brain is doing, the thoughts my brain is starting to have, and I know those thoughts are going to lead me down a path of anxiety or depression. I thankfully haven't been having as much anxiety really, but depression has kind of been this past year. Because last year I had a ton of anxiety and panic attacks, and then it kind of fell off into a depression. And depression I'm more comfortable dealing with because I've kind of had depression throughout my life. And I've kind of learned how to process it and get through it. And also just be aware of when it's happening and understanding what my brain is doing and trying to avoid doing those things and trying to just be more present and thankful and grateful. So it's not as bad as it could have been, but it still sucks. So I haven't been doing as much. I'm hoping that, I'm on the swing back, and it's just at a low point. And I'll get to another high point where things will be good, and I'll be able to get a lot of things done, and I'll be really positive about things. So it's just, it's just getting through it, and I'm getting through it. It's like the fact that I do this podcast, release it daily, and the fact that I release new painting daily, having those schedules that I've been doing for years now, there's no excuse. There's no place I can get myself mentally that would stop me from keeping up with those things, which even at the bare minimum I'm able to do just to get through it. And so I'm happy for I'm thankful for those things, which are the thing that I've sacrificed my life to do. And the thing that will keep me that keeps me sane. It's these are the things in my life that are there no matter what. And because they're there no matter what, I will be there for them no matter what. And them being my art, this podcast, putting for you guys, the small audience that I have. I appreciate you. But yeah, so it's been a rough week. I've been been drinking a lot. Well, not drinking a lot. I've been drinking wine spritzers, right? For those that don't know, it's wine mixed with like a club soda or mineral water. I'm drinking a lot of mineral water. It's good for you. It's really healthy. It replenishes a lot of the minerals that you sweat out. I've been sweating a lot. It also helps keep me hydrated. So I've been drinking wine spritzers. That way it's not very alcoholic. It's like probably less than a beer, like a light beer, like probably by the time it's mixed, like 3%. So it's like I'm drinking them throughout the day. I catch a little buzz, start around, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Start drinking them. And then it's just, I have a nice relaxing day. And it helps. It probably doesn't help as much as I think it does. But for me, it's kind of how I self-medicate for depression. I smoke weed also, but like the thing with alcohol, well, I guess it's way worse for me because it really puts me tangentially. If I get too drunk, I will definitely get into that headspace where I just want to go deeper into the depression. So it's probably not that good. But I have been drinking. I have been drinking this week wine spritzers, which are refreshing. Like for a summer drink in the desert, it is the most refreshing kind of a thing. And I'm not getting wasted. I'm just catching a buzz and then riding it throughout the evening. But yeah, it's delicious, refreshing alcoholic beverage that I've enjoyed since I've kind of been mentioning the different alcoholic beverages I've been experimenting with this summer. And similar to like those alcoholic popsicles, very refreshing, but a little bit too sugary. Like I wine spritzers, I'm like seriously, it's my new favorite drink. I'm not adding fruit to it. You're supposed to like add fruit to it, but I don't mind. I do some Topo Chico, and I have boxed wine, right? Because it's getting diluted anyway. Boxed wine, got that Sunset Blush, okay? What do you know? Sunset Blush, give me that pink wine in a box, mix it with some Topo Chico. I'm good. So yummy. So that's what I've been drinking. Also, the Friends reunion came out this week on HBO Max. Huge Friends fan as a kid growing up. One of those shows that just, was huge. Culturally huge. My best friend growing up had the soundtrack. We used to listen to that shit while we played video games. It's ridiculous. But there was the reunion episode, I don't know, 15 years after the last. I don't know if I watched the last few seasons of Friends because I believe it went through 2004. I think it was like 94 through 2004, if I'm guessing right. But the reunion was fun. It's very interesting to see how differently everybody aged. Matt LeBlanc, I'm probably I'm aging similarly to Matt LeBlanc. He's gotten quite a bit bigger over the years. Lisa Kudrow doesn't really look like she's changed much. Same thing with Jennifer Aniston. Obviously, Jennifer's had some work done, but also she has like the biggest career out of all of them, I think. David Schwimmer's done pretty good. He actually hasn't aged too bad either. But Matthew Perry, is that his name? Chandler Bing. Woo, man, that guy, rough. I feel bad. I felt so bad just seeing him. It looks like he's been through the ringer. And a fun little kind of catch up. They did some table reads. You got to see some Rachel Green nipples while they were doing some table reads, which, growing up as a dude, when this show, this was like I was like 14 when it started, right? So I'm like, in my puberty prime, and what I would do, because I didn't have porn, there was no porn, like sometimes you could watch like the Spice Channel, I would listen to it, it would be scrambled, but you could listen to the moaning, and that was kind of like a porn for me. But also watching sitcoms in the day, like women without bras and their nipples showing were popular. Like there was a few shows, and that was like my porn. Like I would watch, aside from like my mom's Victoria's Secret, watching that. So Jennifer Aniston's nipples made an appearance in the reunion, and I've been going. I just restarted watching the series. I haven't watched it in forever, so I just recently started rewatching the series, and I love it, man. It's a show. The way the writers described it in the reunion is that the elevator pitch. It's a show about the time of your life when your friends are your family, and for me and for most people, it's usually in your 20s, right? Either during college, after college, but it's those years in your 20s. And for me, I spent those years in San Diego, and I had a family of friends, degenerates, the most degenerate people ever. Not ever, but definitely degenerates. But they were my family for most of my 20s. And then, people get older, they have families, they get married, and similar to what happened in Friends, they all kind of split apart. And seeing the reunion was crazy. To do a reunion, it's cheesy, but as a fan, it was a nice look back. It just like them enjoying the show, talking about the show. They got to see some bloopers. It was a fun reunion, and it definitely inspired me to go back and rewatch the series that is on HBO Max. So I probably will do a series recap. I don't know if there's probably the last 2 seasons or last 2, 3, 4 seasons of Friends. I don't know if I've ever watched. So there will be episodes, I'm sure, that I will never have seen, and that might be interesting. It'll be interesting to compare the Friends franchise, the Friends series, to like Parks and Rec and The Office and Community, other show series that I've watched in the past year. The Last Man on Earth, I think it's called. But yeah, so did a lot of watching of Friends, and it was kind of fun. It's fun to kind of transport myself back to a time where that was kind of my life in a lot of ways. Having friends as family. The past 10 years, a few friends, like my friends group is a lot smaller. And I pretty much focus majority of my time and energy on making art and podcasting. So socializing and those things, I'm living a completely different type of life than I was back then. But it's fun to like reminisce and think of those times. It also probably makes me a little nostalgic and probably adds to the sadness a bit. But I've enjoyed it. I'm still in season 1 of Friends, so we'll see. I think there were like 10 seasons or something like that. So we'll see. We'll see if I actually get through all of them. But that's been my week. I hope everybody's been doing good. I hope everybody's getting their vaccine shots. Please, wear your mask when appropriate. Just try and be safe and be nice to people. Be Ted Lasso. Just be the American export we should be. We should be that positive force in the world. Do you like audiobooks? Of course you do. You like listening to stuff. You're listening to this, or you're watching it. I don't know what you're doing, but you're definitely listening to my voice, and you can listen to a lot of other voices tell you stories from actual books through the service known as Audible. And because you are a listener of this show, you get 2 free audiobooks when you use my link. Go to inspireddisorder.com/audible. That's AUDIBLE. You'll get 2 free books for signing up. You can cancel at any time, but if you keep your membership, you get an additional book every month. Your subscription and membership comes with Audible originals, guided wellness programs, news, and so much more. Get yourself 2 free audiobooks by going through my link, inspireddisorder.com/audible. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!